Hey, welcome back, guys, to the Jason and Garry BS podcast. Today's our second episode. We'll be talking about Spawn, Todd McFarlane's Spawn, kind of how it shaped some moments in our lives and was I guess, an integral part of coming up together. We shared a lot of interest in comics and toys and everything, and Spawn was kind of a big part of that. And I'm going to throw you over to Garry. He's going to talk a little bit about it first, and then we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, the good news is we did an episode and we didn't quit, or we haven't yet.
Almost.
Almost. Well, to start with Spawn, I brought a few props. So the first one is this right here. Back when I was probably back in the 80s, this was one of the first comics I ever got. My grandma actually got it at Goodwill and brought it to me. Well, the main thing about this comic is it's got a character called Morbius in it, the vampire. I don't know if
Right.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I could see it. I think we're all familiar with Morbius now.
Yes, we are. Well, anyway, that began my kind of fascination with comics. Well, fast forward probably early 90s. I was in Walmart and walking around, and I found this comic rack, and it had this comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, me and Jason have mixed feelings about this, but we'll get to that. That comic was drawn by an artist named Todd McFarlane. Well, in that comic featured Morbius, and McFarlane at the time, he had this crazy animated looking style. Like he was probably the biggest artist at the time. And so big that he'd got his own Spider-Man book. And I remember reading that comic and seeing Morbius and thinking, holy cow, he's changed. Look how cool he is. I mean, look how mean he looks.
Yeah.
And so that kind of got me into McFarlane, which, as we all know, is the creator of Spawn. So I started, I followed the rest of that series, which he was only doing that series probably about, let's see, that's comic 13. So he was only on that book probably about three more comics. And then he left alongside a bunch of other artists at the time and formed a company called Image.
Right.
Well, when they formed Image, he started the character Spawn. And since I was such a big fan of the Spider-Man, I was there for the first issue and bought the first issue and stayed with it. Which kind of, this is kind of how I met Jason. This is how I met Jason. Because we were working at, what was it, Lowe's?
Lowe's
Foods. And I remember I knew Jason's mom, and I would talk to her every now and then. I mean, it wasn't like we were buddies or anything, but I knew her when I saw her. And I remember one time I worked in the meat department, and she usually stocked. There was a certain shelf she would order stuff for and stock stuff.
Right.
And I remember seeing Jason walk by, and he had a Spawn T-shirt on, and I was like, and I mean, where we live, you never saw anything like that. I mean, nobody would have a Spawn T-shirt on. So it immediately piqued my curiosity. So after he left that day, I went up to his mom and I was like, I noticed Jason, or I didn't know he was Jason then, but I noticed your son had a Spawn T-shirt on. What's that all about? Where did he get that? She said, well, his uncle, what was it? Was he head over marketing? Is that what it was?
Yeah, he was like the PR guy. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, his Jason's uncle was the PR guy for Todd McFarlane. So and
Right.
immediately, I was like, oh, that. So I immediately started pursuing him. So he probably didn't want to be my friend, but I really didn't give him a choice.
Right.
So, so I just would randomly hang out and talk to him after that until he probably didn't felt comfortable about it. Probably took a couple months, but
Yeah. That's a yeah. That's a whole nother story. I won't talk about how naive and how naive I was back then. But no, I actually to cover that my side of that story, I guess. My uncle Bo Smith, he came up writing comic books, and basically he wrote some of like Guy Gardner. He wrote some Wildcat, Batman issues, stuff like that, and he had some of his own series. Um, went on to do Winona Earp, the TV series, and so on and so forth. But back then, I remember very specifically, I was real into comics, so he was, my favorite uncle. I'd hang out with him, whatever, and he had all the ends to all the comic books and everything. So, I guess he called me one day and he was like, I'm working for this guy. His name's Todd McFarlane. I'd never heard of him. And he's like, and Garry, he was a fan before I was, but I'd never heard anything about him. And Bo calls me up. He's like, he's got this character he's creating, Spawn. It's called Spawn. It's going to be the next big thing. I remember Bo telling me, he's like, you got to get the comic book when it comes out. You'll enjoy the series, blah blah blah. He's like, make sure you're there to get it. Now he never called me, never, like it was important, you know. So I went straight to the at the time I think it was Selfish probably or Heroes Comics. I can't remember, and I got it the day it came out. I was like, okay, man, I'll trust you. I'm going to get it. I didn't know that they put out bazillion issues of it, but it was still cool. I read the comic. The art was so so very detailed. Like I remember looking at that artwork. I was like, man, this is intense. It was just every speck of dirt. Everything was covered. I mean, just crazy. So that got me into the Spawn character. After that, I started reading all the comics. I started collecting all the issues. I even Bo took me to meet Al Simmons, the guy at a convention. I mean, I was got heavily into Spawn, and that of course is how I got that shirt. Bo had gotten it for me. I mean, he would give me gifts every time I went to go visit him in West Virginia and stuff, and he's still in Cerrito, West Virginia, still writing comics and doing his thing. But he would give me all those gifts, toys. I mean, Spawn toys, stuff, all kinds of stuff. And then I remember my mom coming home from work that day. She was like, "Yeah, this guy works back in the meat department. He asked about your shirt." I was like, "What kind of weirdo?" I was like, "What?" And then anyway, I come to talk to Garry and stuff, and then yeah, just I remember going to your house the first time, and your wall of Spawn was just breathtaking. I was amazed at it. Like I'd never actually collected anything quite like that. And I remember you had them up on like pegs, and I mean in perfect order, just I remember I have to have these at that point. so that was kind of, yeah. I guess I had already kind of gotten into Spawn, just reading the comic books, and then meeting Garry. We were talking about all that stuff, and we found out we both like comic books and toys and collecting, and that just kind of happened how it happened. And I remember starting to collect the toys back then, and I mean, even the toys were just so detailed. Todd McFarlane really brought a whole new, I guess, course for, like, I almost feel like that's when the adult side of collecting really started coming into play. Like, his were for adults. You couldn't take that shit out and play with it because it just fall apart immediately. So
Yep.
so so it was kind of like, how all the adults now collect all the toys. They're like, it's not for kids anymore, whatever. And I think he really started because they were more like statues, or they were so highly detailed that it was like a real collectible. And
Hmm.
I don't know, that to me is when that whole thing kind of started. And then of course that all snowballed for me. I collect everything under the sun now. So I think Spawn was kind of how I got into all that, for me personally. I don't know about you, but
Yeah. It started out with the comic books, and I remember when the toys came back out. I really wasn't interested at first because I was like, well, I collect the comic book. And then I remember one summer, me and my parents, we and my sister would all go to. We'd take our vacation at Oak Island in,
yeah,
and I remember near Oak Island there was this. I want to say it was a Roses. I can't remember what kind of store it was, but it might have been Roses. But I remember being just walk. I would always go in the toy store because going back to the
yeah,
last episode, Transformers had me going in the toy store. So even in the
yeah,
'90s, I was going to check to see what the latest Transformers were. I think they were Beast Wars then, but I would still go
yeah,
in to see. Well, I saw like a whole stack, and what intrigued me was there was two different versions of Spawn. There was a Spawn.
yeah,
Well, you had three medieval Spawn. There was the regular Spawn, but then there was also another version of the regular Spawn that had his mask off. And I was like,
yeah,
well, wait a minute. I said, that's pretty cool. I actually like that. I bet that one's rare. So I
yeah,
started looking through them, and I looked on the back, and it didn't even show the one with his mask off on the back of the package.
yeah,
So I was like, I gathered them all up and bought everything they had, which was the whole series. And that
yeah,
really, I mean, yeah, that then I had to have it all. I was like,
yeah,
I couldn't stop. I couldn't wait till the next series came out. As soon as the next series come out, I had to dive in and get them all. And I really
yeah,
got in. It really, like you, it really got me into collecting because I'd always collect. When I was young, I had Star Wars and I collected the Transformers, but like this was like collector collecting. The Transformers was like you would take them out of the package and play with them, but this was like you keep them as nice as
yeah.
possible, put them on the wall, and I
Right,
really enjoyed it. And it gave you like a thrill to go to a store and find something new, the newest figure, or go have them look in the back stock to see if there was one back there that
right.
nobody else knew about.
Well, did he? I guess did McFarlane kind of start the variant kind of thing?
Well,
Like,
I think variants go back to. I'm not sure. I think variants go all the way back to Star Wars because
yeah,
there's
maybe.
some that's got different size lightsabers, different color lightsabers. But I think he was the one that really made it. I think it was an accident with Star Wars, whereas he did it on
Right.
purpose. Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. Like maybe, you know, I guess Chase figures.
Yeah, Chase.
Maybe I don't know. I felt like he kind of started, like I said, like I guess you're saying, like it was more like a piece of art rather
Yeah.
than something to kind of, I guess, use as a toy or give to your kids. Because man, like I said, it crumbled like dust when you get it out
Oh
and
yeah,
try to play with it.
they weren't very durable. Weren't very
Yeah,
durable at all.
I remember taking some of them out, and I mean, it would just snap like a twig in my hand. I was ruined, you
Yeah.
know. So I don't know that. Yeah, and then I remember. Let's see. Then there were talks about the movie coming out.
Yeah.
I remember we got all excited because Spawn was like number one, you know, for a long time. I feel like.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was real popular. Uh, and then kind of they talked about the whole movie thing coming out, and I remember we got so excited. We were like, yes, they're gonna make this awesome McFarlane highly detailed, you know, movie.
Hmm.
And I remember, I mean, just getting real excited about it. And then I guess you went and saw it prior to me seeing it,
Yeah.
and you had a little mishap.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like you. I could not wait. I mean, I know I looked forward to it. What it was about 2 years from the time they said it was coming out to it
Yeah,
actually came out. And I remember,
yeah,
I was just, I could not wait to see it. And the first time I went and seen it, uh, my girlfriend at the time, we had been together, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. Well, we ended
yeah,
up going to see the movie, and well, I'll tell you my reaction to the movie a little bit later with Jason,
yeah.
but I remember seeing it and leaving, and we were going down the road afterwards, and then all of a sudden that girl started crying, and I was like, what's going on? And then I get dumped. So, so it's funny. Now I can look back on it and laugh, but it's funny. A movie I looked for so long ended up with a explanation point after watching it.
Like you're so excited. Come watch this with me. It's gonna be
Yeah,
awesome. And then
it
she's
was
like,
so bad. She was like, "Uh,
she went, no, sir.
no, this is this is where it ends."
this this will not be my life.
I'll not follow this fool to another toy store or comic book shop. It ends
Yeah,
now.
it, I kind of I actually when you mentioned that I do recall you telling me that, and then
Yeah.
you were like, well, let's go see it, and anyway, I was like, well, what did you think of it? You're like, I'm just gonna let you watch it, you know, let you let you form your own opinion,
Let you take
and
it
I
in.
remember, yeah, take it all in, every bit of it, and I remember we after the movie we were leaving the theater or whatever, we're in the car talking, and I was like, so what'd you think? Or you said it, you were like, what'd you think? And I was like, yeah, yeah, it was it was good. It was good. It was all right, No, it was good. I remember, and then you were like, yeah, it was good, wasn't it? And I was like, yes, that was awesome. We just kind of talked ourselves into it, and
Oh,
like years later,
yeah.
we were on a phone call, I believe, and just talking about it, and I remember saying, "Man, remember I remember trying to talk up the Spawn movie, but man, it was just shit. It was just a shit
It
movie."
sucked.
And
It was so
you were
bad.
like, "It was,
Oh,
it was awful." I, I
I
can't
remember
keep
the
on this facade.
I remember the first time Violator turned into his like demon form. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. It looked
What
like a
was it?
bad video game, a Nintendo 64 game. Oh,
What, Malbolgia?
oh yeah. Oh, all the
It was
lightning.
some of the worst. It was
Oh,
some of the worst CGI I think I'd seen in a
oh,
long time. It
oh,
was so bad. Oh my god. And then,
oh.
I guess after that movie, I feel like Spawn took this dive straight down and
It did.
plummeted to, to the ground. It just all
Hmm.
the way down. And now, like Spawn figures, I've shown you several I've purchased lately. You can get them for next to nothing in the
Yeah.
package.
Hmm.
Like they're all like $5. I mean, but man, back in the day, they were like top tier, man. Like
Yeah.
best looking figures and all this stuff. And then it amazes me how far the mighty has fallen at this point. I don't
Well,
know,
that was like
but
the golden age of comics, I would think. I mean, because they
yeah,
were these artists were so popular that I mean they made 1 million of those figures. That's why they're not worth anything because they made so many of them.
yeah,
And it just even I think the only ones that's worth something is when he was almost bankrupt and going out of business or whatever, and he would put out a few sets that only made like a
right,
few runs or something like that, and
yeah,
that's the only ones that's really worth anything.
yeah. I mean, I did enjoy. I mean, for the time, he was like one of the best artists. I mean, coming out back then,
Yeah,
and I liked everything he did except for one.
Blocko Putty.
I don't know if any of you have ever seen Todd
Oh,
McFarlane's Incredible Hulk, but
oh.
it
Riley, if you're watching, throw that one up on the screen.
his forehead looks just like a block. I mean, he looks like he's made out of putty, and
But to
it
be
was an
fair,
ongoing joke. Yeah,
yeah. To be fair, that was some of his earlier stuff. That was when he did a Hulk. The Hulk was before Spider Man, wasn't it?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. And I mean, just the proportions. I,
Oh,
I mean,
I'd like.
he
I
he
want
was
to.
no good.
I want to go back to just before we wrap it up. I want to go back to when we used to go see Bo. I got to go with you to see him a few times, and all I can
Oh yeah,
remember is like going in his office and him having these
yeah,
huge stacks waiting on us. Like we had like rare toys, signed
oh yeah,
comic books. I mean, I was just like, I'm living a dream. I mean, it was just,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
amazing. I was like, this guy, he had everything.
yeah.
He,
I mean, we left with just handfuls of Spawn figures and comics, like you said, and I mean they were signed, autographed. I mean, he was showing us all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's like, yeah, I get these artists sending me all their artwork. They're wanting to work with Todd and this and that. I mean, it was, I guess to me is just my uncle, and I was kind of used to it, but I didn't realize at the time, just how crazy that was,
oh
like
yeah,
someone like
I was
you
starstruck.
coming in and being a huge Spawn fan, you were
Yeah.
probably like, holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
I, I,
So,
I remember Bo going through this stack. He was either going through a box or something. He would add to the stack, and I remember him pulling out Cosmic Angela, and it was like a variant of hers, and he's like, "Oh, you
Oh
can get
yeah.
right, you can get $100 if you want to sell this," and he just hands it to me, and I'm like, "What the
Yeah.
heck is going on?" But he's so
Yeah.
laid
I remember
back.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so laid back, and getting to see, like, back then he was big into old GI Joes, and to see his book collection and just what like
Yeah.
inspires him and just how he lives, it's really cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Bo's always been very laid back. I mean, when we would go visit family back in West Virginia, he would always make sure to come by, and then he'd take me to all the local comic shops, and he knew everybody there, and then
Yeah.
he'd invite me to like comic cons, take me all behind the scenes. I mean, all the booths when the guys were back, the artists were back there eating lunch and shit, and he'd be like, "Hey man, why don't you go ahead and sign this for my nephew, just or draw something real quick, and I was just like, you know, like, I don't know. It's like being with as much of a celebrity at the time as I could get close to. So, I mean, he's at this point has went above and beyond. I mean, he's ended up with his
Oh,
own TV show and shit like that. So, he's beyond me now.
oh yeah. Yeah, he's
but
made a good life.
but yeah, all that just I feel like the reason I want talk about Spawn and everything was because it all kind of ties in together, as far as like how we kind of even me and Gary just started talking in the first place, just getting to know each other, whatever, finding out we were both into all that nerd shit, and not just that, but it comes stems from like my family. Like part of my family was involved with McFarlane, and
Hmm.
Gary came up collecting McFarlane just on his own. Like it started a whole my me personally, like my actual collecting part of my life, like collecting toys and comics and stuff like that. I'd always kind of gotten them, from Bo, or just happenstance, just got comic books or toys just randomly. But once I started actually buying the series Spawn and buying them, as they came out weekly, that really started my collecting, and then the toys got me into all the He-Man collecting and stuff. I always had the toys, like we talked about in a previous episode about getting all our toys on Christmas and things like that. And that this was when I actually started collecting them, keeping them in the package or displaying them, or like you had your wall of Spawn, your shrine. And
Yeah.
that's really why I wanted to talk about that, because it just I feel like Spawn was actually what kind of started everything for
Hmm.
me as far as what I do nowadays. I
Yeah.
mean, how do you feel about like?
Yeah. Still to this day. I mean, what is it? It's been. I mean, we met in what, 94 or 95. So I mean, what is that?
Yeah,
That's 31 years. And
yeah,
and we're still, how many other people do you still keep in contact that you met 31 years ago?
none.
It's crazy. Yeah, none.
Not a single one, unless they're blood kin. None of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But and we're
anyway,
still into the stuff. It may not be Spawn, but we're still into the stuff that to this day, whether it's Masters of the
yeah,
Universe, Transformers. But that really did start it all.
yeah. And I believe that will wrap up today's episode, everyone. Thank you for
Yep.
watching. If you were watching out there, all 5 to 10 of you, and we'll be signing off. Make sure to like and subscribe. I forgot to say that last time.
Yeah.
So this is Jason signing off.
To the next episode. See ya.